Hi folks, Doc here. It's so cold and crappy outside that I decided to skip my usual walk around intro. Forget it, I'm staying in here where it's nice and warm, I got a fire burning in the wood stove, and I'm probably going to be able to get rid of my sweater in the next half hour or so. Anyways, I was given an interesting opportunity. The good folks at Nilight contacted me through YouTube and said, "Hey Doc, we've seen a couple of your videos. Would you be interested in doing an LED headlight install review thing on one of your machines? In exchange, of course, for the product." I'm game. So I got back to them and I said, let's go ahead and do it. I've picked a machine to put them in. That would be Fugazi, because that's the current project and it needs lights in the worst imaginable way. So here we are today. We're going to install a pair of the 18-watt LED work lights, is what they call them, in Fugazi's grill and make them the headlights. Stay tuned. Alright, so this is Fugazi. Some of you are already familiar with this machine. And those are the crappy factory headlights. Well, they're the lenses anyways. I've already pulled the pots out. These here are the factory headlight pots. Quite literally a couple of metal reflectors and two 1156 automotive taillight bulbs. They're not incredibly effective. Taillights are very good for being seen, but not too good for seeing. So out the door those go. And we're going to put in some good ones. This here is one of the lights they sent. It's actually a pretty handsome unit. It appears to be an aluminum extrusion with a couple of cast aluminum end caps, polycarbonate lens, and 6 chips in it. This is an 18-watt unit, 3 watts per 6 chip. It's got some good weight to it, and it doesn't feel like a pile of plastic garbage. So far I'm impressed. Alright, so on the bench here I've got a rundown of things. First off, the kit that I received consists of the 2 light units and a wiring harness and the associated bracketry and a switch. I should mention that the wiring harness and the switch come as a separate kit. Those are sold separately. You can buy the lights just on their own, and they're actually quite inexpensive compared to what I've already paid for some LED lighting. The package that they came in was just a plain cardboard box that says LED work lights, although they were well packaged with these styrofoam inserts that kept everything nice and tight and tidy. Just for the record, I would rather receive a plain cardboard box without all kinds of fancy stuff on it in the name of saving a couple of dollars. I really don't care about retail packaging. I mean, as soon as I pull it out of its packaging and install it in whatever I'm installing it in, the packaging goes in the garbage anyways. I don't care if it's fancy or not. So you've got the light units, and you've got these mounting brackets here. They were nicely tucked away in baggies. And the mounting brackets get bolted on here, and that gets bolted down to your surface. And included are the 4 bolts required and washers to mount it to the bracket. I'll show you that in greater detail later. And the big bolt and nut and a washer to bolt it down to its mounting surface. Included with the wiring harness was this little wiring diagram here. And some quick connect spade terminals. 4 of them in fact. And this nifty little switch, which has a rubber boot around it, which will hopefully help keep some of the elements out of it. And I'm kind of thinking it's a lit switch based on the fact that it has 3 terminals on it instead of 2. The wiring harness itself contains a 40 amp relay, and I'll get back to that in a second, and a 20 amp fuse. See if I can pop that open. There we go. There's your 20 amp fuse. And of course you want every circuit protected with a fuse, and having it triggered by a relay is also kind of handy too. I find it interesting to note, especially the 20 amp fuse, this wiring harness was quite obviously designed to be universal and work with multiple lighting kits. So this 20 amp fuse is actually rather overkill, as these 2 lights together will draw somewhere between 2.5 and 3 amps. So what I'm probably going to do in the name of circuit protection, believe it or not, is drop this fuse down to probably a 10 amp, or maybe even a 7.5. I think I have one of those kicking around. Now I'm going to assume, having not unwrapped this yet, that there's plenty of wire here, probably enough for an automotive installation. And this is of course going into a modified off-road lawn tractor, so I suspect I'm going to have plenty of additional wire. Alright, so here's the business end of the machine, and I did have to do some prep work for these lights to go in. One thing I had to do was trim these holes out just a wee little bit. Now, I probably could have just jammed the lights in there, but that wouldn't give me the flexibility to aim them and align them, and I didn't like that, so I cut them out. The other thing I had to do, just to tip on in here, is create some mounting tabs. And as you can see, they're just bolted to the front of the grill. And I'll see if I can scoot around inside here, just let you get a look at it from there. And all they are basically amounts to a couple of 90-degree angle brackets. And I'll show you why I had to do that. Alright, so here's the unit, here's its mounting bracket, and without putting the bolts in it just yet, I'm going to get you to have a look at this. In fact, I'll orient it this way so the wire's not in the way. So here we have the mounting bracket that bolts to the light like this, and you can see it would bolt very nicely to a horizontal surface, either below it or above it, and that's fantastic. You can hang it upside down. If you orient the bracket this way, you can get it on to a horizontal or a vertical surface, but the catch is, as you can see, I'm trying to get this angled so you can see, you'd be hard pressed to get it onto a surface. You'd have to use 2 bolts to get it onto a surface that's dead vertical right behind it. Like this, it would be off alignment. So the problem that I face, and what I would like to see in the future, is a more universal mounting system. If this thing had a way of, mounting a bracket a little bit better like so, because the holes aren't in alignment and I'd have to mess with this. But if this bracket were designed in such a way just that you could do something like this and get it to mount to a surface in front of it and below it, or in front of it and above it, that would have spared me from having to fabricate those brackets on Fugazi's grill there. And like it's so close, this would require just a little bit of design adjustment, and I could have just bolted these directly into the grill. So my suggestion straight off the cuff is maybe have a look at the mounting brackets and make them just a little bit more universal. I'm going to go ahead and start pre-assembling the unit here and put the mounting bracket on the light. And one thing I did notice, sorry I got that the wrong way around, is that with the mounting bracket bolted on, you can't get this bolt in very easily. You've got to either do the bracket up loosely and try and cheat it in here. It's just easier, I discovered during my pre-assembly process for mock-up, to just go ahead and throw that bolt on there ahead of time, and that way you don't have to worry about it. It makes it a lot easier and you don't have to try and cheat the thing in. So I'm just going to go ahead and toss this thing together, and I'll do the other one. And then when I'm done, we'll get the physical mounting out of the way and crack into the wiring harness and see what we've got to work with. Now these lights come to you shipped with bare, they are tinned, ends to the wire. And of course the idea behind that is so that you can wire them in any way, shape, or form that you like with whatever connectors you like. The wiring harness provided uses these quick connects, and it's kind of cool that the wiring harness kit also includes insulated quick connect males, so that whatever lights you have purchased can adapt onto that harness as a plug and play. So I'm just going to go ahead and crimp these on so that I don't have to do it while the unit is in place, which will make things a lot more difficult. Alright, so with the grill on the bench, I'm good to go ahead and bang these things into place. Okay, so looking in from the back side, This is where I can adjust the angle by loosening off these bolts again. Alright, so now that I've got those, at least for now, aligned well enough to put the grill back in, just thought I'd take a second to look at the warranty information that comes with this thing. There's the warranty card there. It says you've got 2 years on the lighting, 1 year on the mounting accessories, which I assume is brackets and hardware, and a year on the harness. That's pretty good for the price point. I was, honestly expecting somewhere between 90 days and a year. Right, so the grill's ready to go in. As you can see, I've applied a couple of zip ties just to keep the wiring tidy and put it approximately where I need it. Alright, some good looking lights there. Alright, so let's have a better look at the harness. There's the switch. I'll show you a little observation on that in a minute there. Plenty of wires. Alright, so there's the relay, fuse. That's going to be the main power lead going to it, I'm quite sure. That'll be the ground. All kinds of wire here. Alright. Yeah, there's a lot here. It's got to be 6 feet. Pretty long. Everything's labeled, which is good. The white wire is labeled white, and the black wire is labeled black. No, it's cool though. It's got little positive and negative indicators on it all over the place. I'm thinking that these are the headlight ends. These are the ones that actually plug into the lights. And we've got a random black wire just laying here. That's going to be a ground, I'm sure. Got a little tag with a number 3 on it. And this white wire here is a tag with a number 2. I'm going to assume there's a 1 to be had somewhere. Oh, probably this red wire that fell to its death. There's number 1. Yeah, this is cool, and I noticed this, and it was really good for these people to do this. See if I can bring that into focus here. Looking at the wiring diagram here, and specifically the switch, it says red to copper, white to middle, black to gold. And when I looked at the switch, I'm going to try and bring that in there, you can very vaguely see the differences in color, and that could be confusing. What these people have done quite clearly as an update is put little tags on here, numbered 1, 2, 3, and then tag the wires number 1, 2, 3. And I like to see that. That means they're paying attention. Somebody at some point said this needs to be more clear, and that's what they've done. So that's great. Here. The battery is located under the seat. And I'm going to locate the switch here, and the starter relay, the solenoid, which basically serves as a junction point for everything, is up and inside the dash. Okay, so I'm going to deviate from the instructions just a little bit here. With a relay setup, obviously you need a power wire going to the lights, and you need a power wire to, feed the relay the positive signal as well. And in both cases on the instructions, it says to connect to the car battery positive pole. Just zoom in there. Now that's all fine and good, and it will work. What I'm going to do, and I do this anytime I'm wiring, auxiliary lights or headlights or anything anywhere with a relay, is I'm going to take, first off, I'm going to take the power wire for the lights themselves off the starter solenoid, the terminal on the starter solenoid, so I don't clutter up the battery. We don't like seeing, wires and wires and wires, gobs of wiring coming off the battery, so you use a junction point. In this particular case, I'm going to use the battery terminal on the starter relay. The other thing I'm going to do is, instead of taking the trigger wire positive off the battery, which would allow me to turn the lights on and off at any time, I'm actually going to take the trigger wire off the ignition switch, my toggle switch in the dashboard there. And the reason that I'm going to do that is so that there's no accidentally leaving the lights on. There's no having the lights on if the ignition is not on. When you turn the ignition on, I can have lights by turning them on. When I turn the ignition off, everything shuts down, and that's something that I wanted to achieve on this machine. So that's what I'm going to do. Saying, but I'm going to point it out anyways. Whenever you're doing any kind of electrical installation or modification on any vehicle, disconnect the negative cable from the battery before proceeding. Always. I think what I'm going to start doing for starters is preparing the switch to go in. So we've got the red and the black wire here. And the red wire is labeled number 1. So we will go to the number 1 terminal on the switch. And the black wire, which is labeled number 3, so we'll go to the number 3 terminal on the switch. Now I can't really tell, and frankly my eyes aren't quite as good as they used to be, which way this switch exactly is supposed to face for the on position and off position. So when I go to stick it in the hole, I'm just going to leave it there loosely until I can test the system and get it the right way around. In the meantime, God, that's a lot of wire. In the meantime, I think I'm going to feed these wires down in. And the number 2 wire is going to have to come up from the harness. So I'm just going to reach in, pull the wiring through, make it so I can get at it. Just trying to be careful not to abrade the wire against that sharp hole I just drilled. Now I've got the fuses and relays and all that stuff here in this big wad of wire. God, that's a lot of wire. You can tell that this is designed for vehicles as opposed to, well, little modified garden tractor type stuff here. So this is our number 2 wire, the white wire. So, given which way I'm going to have to go with this thing, I think I'm going to feed it up this way and into the hole. Alright, there we go. Got that. So we're going to plug the number 2 wire in. The number 2 slot on the switch. This little rubber booty keeps coming off. Hope it doesn't become a problem once it's installed. Probably not. Just because I'm mucking with it. Now we know that the fuse and relay are going to have to go under the hood. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw back all this excess white wire back through the access panel here. Now what I'm aiming for ultimately is to have the fuse and the relay mounted down low. I might have to do it on the ground after all. Have the fuse and the relay mounted down low somewhere in a manner that I can get at them relatively easily should I need to, you know, replace the fuse or whatever the case may be. But in the meantime, this is the wire going forward. So we'll just leave this aside for now. Now, I realize that at this exact moment it's going to be mighty hard to see what I'm doing under the hood here. So you'll just recall that I crimped those terminals on to the lights. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to feed these in, attach them, and then zip tie up the mess. Okay, easiest thing to do here I found was unbolt 2 of the grill bolts, tip the thing forwards, and there you can see what I've done there. I just plugged the connectors in and zip tied up the rest of the excess, and then I can tip the grill back in place and fasten it down. It's getting a little dull. Okay, so find our grounds. There's one at the relay here. And there's this black one here, which goes off to the switch. Now it's very difficult for me to film in here while I'm working, so I just want to show you what's going on so far. I've temporarily stuck the fuse back in here so I could just do a quick running systems check to make sure everything's copacetic so far. But there you can see the relay as I've mounted it. You saw where I drilled the hole on the outside. And directly below that, just follow my finger, you can see the stud that I used to ground the 2 ground terminals to the chassis. All that I have left to do is I've got the 2 red wires. There's one there and here's the other one here. And one of them has to get connected to the constant positive side of the starter relay. And the other one's going to get connected to the ignition switch. Alright, so I've got the wiring tidied up best I could under the circumstances. There's the fuse holder, and I've got that just tied off to the fuse for my charging circuit. And once again, dark as it is, you can just see the relay in there and my grounding point. And over here on the starter relay, also known as the starter solenoid, that's where I've got the positive wire, the main power feed for the lighting system coming from there. And the trigger feed from the switch for the lighting system comes off my ignition switch. Now, one thing I'm kind of complaining about is this switch here. It's got two little tabs that kind of index it. I drilled a 1-inch hole because 7/8 was too small, and now it's flopping around in that 1-inch hole. And this rubber boot just does not want to stay put, so I think I'm actually going to put some glue in there. So we're down a point for that. I'm not happy with that switch at all. Okay, so I decided I wasn't interested in the switch flopping around anymore, so I put a little hot glue in there to secure it into the dashboard. That's definitely a negative point. I'm not really happy about the switch. But anyways, just a little functional test. Nothing. Turn the ignition switch on, and lights. And I can already tell those are a devil of a lot brighter than the factory lights were. I'm going to roll this thing out when it gets dark and turn the lights on and see how things look. While we're waiting for dark to happen, I just want to go over a couple of the finer points, the pluses and minuses, my review as it were so far. Now I do fully anticipate these to be significantly brighter than the stock headlights, so I think we can already go ahead with that. I'll verify that when I take this thing outside, but I know how this stuff tends to work. So they're nice and bright compared to the stock headlights. That's going to serve me on the trail very nicely. Another positive is they're sturdy. The light units themselves seem to be really well built, especially for the price point. The aluminum extruded housing is nice. They've got some good weight to them. It's got a polycarbonate lens, which should put up with some pretty good abuse without breaking. Overall, size versus weight, density thing, they feel good. I like that. Which brings me to what I just mentioned. Price point. Now, depending, of course, on where you live, is going to affect how much you're paying for these things. But as far as LED lighting goes, I've purchased a few sets so far. You guys have seen the light bar that I've got in Suburban Commando, and I bought a very similar unit for Gorilla. And the one that I bought for Suburban Commando cost me well over $100 locally. Never doing that again. Having seen what I've seen, I'm going to go to Nilight next time around, and I'm going to buy through them because basically it's the same thing from what I can tell at a much better price point. So they're obviously the LED, so they're going to be brighter, they're going to last longer, they're sturdy, the price point is good. Now I just want to talk about the two negatives that I found along the way here. And one of them is the mounting brackets. Like I said, they're good insofar as for a standard installation on a standard surface, being a horizontal surface either directly above or directly below the light, they're fine. However, if you want to go to a vertical surface, either above or behind, the bracket doesn't allow for that. I would really like to see a bracket redesign that would be just slightly more universal that would allow for that. The other thing that I found with the brackets is, you remember me showing you that little hex key screw where you can adjust the light left and right on the bracket, which I had to do to fit my pots because of the curved mounting surface. Unfortunately, the way that is designed, you have to take the whole light out and the whole mounting bracket assembly apart again to get that Allen key in there to adjust it left or right. So that can be a little frustrating. I spent more time aligning the lights in the grill than I wanted to. Now, to be fair, I was doing a non-standard installation, so if it were a standard installation, it probably would have been a hell of a lot easier, but I'd still like to see a more universal, user-friendly mounting bracket. The other negative is the switch. The switch drove me insane. Every time I turn around, that little boot came off. And, I'll be damned. I tried looking at I did a 7/8 mounting hole. It wasn't big enough for the switch in a sheet metal surface. I did a 1-inch mounting hole, and then the switch was flopping around in there. So I don't really know what size hole that's supposed to be, but apparently I have not got that drill. I'm sure it was going into a plastic dashboard or something like that that was thicker. That might be a different situation. I mean, I drilled a hole in a piece of probably 16 gauge sheet metal, and maybe just the little plastic tabs on the switch weren't enough to grab that 16 gauge very well. And that little weatherproof looking boot, it just keeps coming off. I'm just going to stick more and more glue in there until I finally get frustrated and probably change the switch. So obviously the switch is a function of the wiring harness kit, which is separate and independent. But that being said, it's just a switch. You're getting a whole kit with the switch, the relay, the fuse holder, the fuse, all the wiring you're going to need. If I were to actually cut down the wires, I'd probably use half as much wire as they actually gave me. Again, for the price point, I genuinely can't complain. So overall, from what I've seen and what I've had to deal with putting this in and testing it so far, having not driven it outside yet, I'm going to go ahead and give this a 4.5 out of 5 if I was to use a rating system that's common. I would probably bump that down to a 3.5 or a 4 if it was a more expensive system. But for the price point, I'm finding to be a pretty good value. Now, let's let dark happen. Drag this sucker outside and light it up. Yeah, that's nice. That is nice. Nice, bright, white light. Boy, you can see my scrap pile quite clearly. That's good. I'm going to point the camera right at this and blind everybody. That is beautiful. Alright, so I'm just looking at the spread of the light here. And it goes out, I'm going to say probably about 160 to 170 degrees, the way I've got them aimed right now. If I back this up, you can actually see the beginning of the light pattern. That's actually kind of cool. That's a pretty good flood. I like that. That's excellent. Good visibility in the periphery. Perfect. Alright, so thanks for tuning in to my Nilight light install and review. And be sure to check them out. I am going to put links to the products in the video description. And you can check out what they've got for sale, and maybe something will work out for you. And until next time, take care of yourself, and thanks for watching.